Hey everybody, today we're looking at directed numbers, but as you notice we're using a different format. In this case I am using my screen to show you exactly how it is that we can actually do our work using, for example, in this case I'm using Word. The next time I will be using a different platform so that you're able to see how this can be done very easily. Alright, so let's look at the first question. So the first question says, I'm going to be using, so I'm going to go to insert and I'm going to use equation. So you see the format there. And so the question says, and I need brackets, it says -3, so -3 times a +4 times a +4 times a -5. But since these are in directed numbers, you need to have, of course, the symbols. And the symbols then must take the brackets there. Alright? So we have that there. And so we'll continue using these. So I say, okay, equal. Don't worry about the setup, it will all come into place as we go along. Now we notice, so we're going to multiply the -3 and the +4 first. So a negative times a positive will give me a negative. Sorry. So a negative inside the bracket. So -12. And I will bring down the -5. So bring down the -5 and I'll put it inside the bracket. Okay. Sorry. Try to get back there. So -5. Okay. And we'll continue. So equals, and now we have a negative times a negative. So a negative times a negative gives me a positive, and so we don't need to put the sign, but the answer there is 60. So equals 60. Now, because we're dealing with math, we need to ensure that we have these one under the other. So we're going to need to make sure that when you write these out, they all go one on top of the other, and of course the equal sign should go under equal sign there. So we're going to try to put that right there more or less. Okay, I can change it by putting it into a format to better grasp the concept there. Remember, we begin every question with your given. Okay, and so we have our first question done. All right, let's take a look at the second one. In the second one, I'll just put the given, and then I'm going to work it out. So again, equal is another shorter way for people to put in the equations. And so this one says -1. So -1 times a +2. A +2, I'm not putting the symbol there. Times another -1. -1 times -3 times a +1. Okay? So equals. Note that there are 5 digits, 3 of which are negative. So you should know that if the number of negatives is even, you're going to have a positive answer as in the one before. And in this case, if the number of negatives is odd, your answer is going to be a negative. But we only work, remember, in pairs. So let's look at the first one, at the first pair. So equals, a negative times a positive is obviously a negative. So we're going to have a -1 times a positive 2, which will give me a negative 2. Then we look at the second 2 we have, which is a negative 1 times a negative 3. So a negative times a negative is a positive, which will give me a positive 3. And then lastly, just bring down the 1. And we write it in there. So we're getting to where we want to be. So in our next line, equals, a negative times a positive is obviously a negative. So it will be a negative 6 times a positive 1. Alright? And so we finish, equals, a negative times a positive, we know it's going to be a negative 6. And that brings us to the end there of that second problem. Please make sure that you have the equal signs, or you try to keep them underneath each other. I know it's kind of difficult with Word, but as you go along, you're going to ensure that it happens. No? Remember also that after the end of the problems, you must take a therefore. So you'll say, therefore, the result is 60. And similarly here, in this one, you'll say, therefore, the result is negative 6. All right? So, thank you.